Keep On Cookin is brought to you by Cranston's Wines and More.
Welcome back, everybody, and I've got good news and bad news today. The bad news is the time is flying and October's already come and gone, but the good news is November's here and it's ready to usher in the holiday season. Whether you're sticking with the classics or trying something new, you really can't go wrong at this time of year. But I've got a dish today that's gonna blow the lid off the pan, and that's my spicy turkey stew. When making stew, there are a few rules to follow, so we're gonna start by doing that, and then we're gonna make up a few of our own. Let's start by going in with some must-haves. You gotta have onions when you're making stew. Everything kind of larger dice. Going in with some celery. And then some carrot. That's called mirepoix veg. That's a very classic soup and stew base. High heat, because caramelization is a very good thing here. We're gonna season with a little bit of salt and hit it with some fresh cracked pepper. Now, let's add a few things that make this very fun and very seasonal. Root vegetables. I love root vegetables, especially around the holidays. I'm gonna go in with some parsnip. How about we hit it up with some butternut squash? Oh, and it's smelling unbelievable already. These are all raw ingredients. They're going in raw, and they are going to cook up both in the saute here, and then once we add the liquid. So 3-4 minutes, these are starting to caramelize and soften up, and we're gonna go in with some turkey. Pop in some of that jive turkey right there. That turkey is cooked. This is leftover turkey breast that I've cut into nice medium stew-sized pieces. Now I'm gonna pop in some potatoes. Now, let's start to freestyle. I'm gonna go in with some tomato paste. Just going with about, don't do it, Nick. All right, I did it. I went in with about 1.5 tablespoons. We're gonna mix that up, and we're gonna pince all these vegetables together so we get even a little bit more caramelization. It doesn't look like a lot, but it's gonna add a nice tint to this. So let's hit it with some butter, about 1/4 stick. Let that mix up and melt. So that butter has really melted in there, and can you hear it? Here, hold on, let me help you out. Get in there. You hear that sizzle? Let's give it one more mix, and you can see how the bottom is starting to stick just a little bit. You don't want it to burn, so you give it a mix, and now let's dust it with some flour. If we did 1/4 stick of butter, we're gonna probably use about 1/8 of a cup of flour. And that is starting to look all chunky and like, what's going on with that, Nick? That roux, once it activates and comes back to a boil, is gonna thicken up this right here. This is our turkey stock. So we're gonna hit it up with some turkey stock, turn the heat on high, and it looks really thin, but it is gonna thicken up. You want almost just enough. Let's see if we nailed it. Did we nail it? Oh, we nailed it. We nailed it. Just enough to cover all the ingredients in there. Now, while this comes to a boil, we're gonna mix it, and you can see all of that coating breaking off of those vegetables, breaking off of that turkey. And you can already see it start to thicken up. Roux, much like slurries, they need to activate. So you give it just a couple minutes to come back to a boil, then we'll turn it down to a simmer. So 5-6 minutes later, you can see it's come to a boil. I'm gonna drop it down to a simmer. I'm gonna put in a couple of drops of heavy cream. I want this to have just a little bit of that soupy richness to the stew. Now, let's hit it up with some fresh herbs. We always cook with fresh herbs on Keep On Cookin. I'm gonna go in with some bay leaves, real fresh bay leaves. Don't have fresh, go with dry. I'm gonna hit it with some thyme sprigs. A few of those, you can just put them right in, avoid eating them because the stems aren't necessarily edible. But what's gonna happen is as they simmer, all of those leaves are gonna fall off and add a ton of fresh flavor. Give that a mix. And now, let's go in with a little bit of smoked paprika, but you don't want to put too much. Even though it's a dry spice, it is very, very potent. We are calling this spicy turkey stew. So, where's the spice, Nick? Tabasco sauce is the spice. It has a little bit of that cayenne pepper flavor already in there. The last thing we're gonna do, a lot of times with stews you see peas or you see chopped green beans. We're gonna use kale today. You can use Swiss chard if you want, Any sort of braising autumn green, chopped curly kale is fabulous. Let that kale just do its thing for a minute or two. It just smells so good. My glasses are fogging up. It's like being at a Kiss concert in here, but it's worth every second. I'm gonna go to the bowl, and then we get to eat this delicious, spicy turkey stew. Well, that was a blast, everybody. Thanks for joining me, and until we meet again, you keep on cooking. That's an order.